I want to record. There's nothing under chat. Participants.
Hmm.
No. Oh, there's the raised hand function.
Oh, where was it?
It's under chat. No, it's under participants. I record. There's nothing under.
Under participants.
It's under participants.
Nope, I don't see it under participants. I see invite when I click on the little up arrow.
Yep. Well, invite and mute me and then raise hand.
Well, see, mine's different.
But I've never seen that before, so I don't know if it's just because it's Eric's Zoom.
Oh, I don't know. I barely know how to work this myself, to be honest with you.
Listen, I'm learning so many things. Google Classroom. Oh my God, you can have a virtual whiteboard and you're gonna have the kids come in and write and draw and
Oh,
if I have to do any of that stuff, I'm gonna be in big trouble.
Guess what I just found? If you bring up the chat,
yeah,
and it lists participants.
Yeah.
And then when I hover over my name, I see mute and more. Yeah.
Where? Under chat?
Okay. I have on the right side of my screen something that says participants, and it lists the three of us.
Yeah.
Now, if I hover over me,
yeah,
I see a little blue thing that says mute or more.
Oh, I can rename it. Oh, okay.
And
all right. Yeah. You think I should rename myself, huh?
Well, you could try it just for call it Grinch.
What's your new name? Hey, for years I went by the nickname Grit, and I never liked that. Not about to give myself Grinch. There. Happy?
Hey! Yeah. Wow. See? But I still haven't seen the hand raising thing. So we got one down for me. And
if you go under participants, go all the way to the bottom.
Participants all the way. Okay. Oh, I see there's a dot. Raise hand. I just did it. Yeah. What did it do? Oh, there it is. The hand is a little
blue hand. It should be on the screen too, but I don't see it.
On the hand.
Eric, are you still there?
I am still here. Yeah. I am considering, though I don't know how many people will see tonight, but apparently the old link is requiring this password, but I don't imagine it's going to be a capacity crowd. So I might leave it as is, or I might start a new meeting and send off
passcode. I mean.
Yeah. But I'm checking on I've got the email with me right now, and I'm just gonna keep checking to see if anyone says, "Hey, what's the password?"
Quite some time ago, you sent out
a passcode, and I couldn't find that email. I looked for it.
There was a link, and it included 989 blah 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 666, which is kind of exciting.
That's not what it is. It's singing.
Question mark PWD equals, and this encrypted thing, so you can't tell what the passcode is. But if you just use the link with all of that, with the PWD equal part of it, it automatically enters the passcode.
Oh, strange. All right. Well, next semester when we do the second round of this, I'll be more deliberate. I'm not. If we get a Zoom bomb from some stranger, then that will be an exciting part of our evening. So I might just leave it without the passcode. But we're all sort of waiting to see what next semester will indeed look like, because with the vaccines starting to roll out next week or this week, whenever it's going to start to roll out. I don't know what will look like for the school in terms of their confidence about getting people back on campus, what the numbers will look like, what the choral area will actually do. My guess is that it's going to be more of this until the fall, which just leaves me immensely depressed and confused, to be frank.
I just saw an interview with Fauci, who was saying, maybe school kids could get the vaccine by March, and that's for young school kids. For the college students, you know, that would probably be the earliest for them, and probably later. So certainly by the time the semester starts in February, they won't have the vaccine rolled out to, you know, it will exist, but you can't get hold of it yet.
I'm just hoping that Colby College does that thing that Colby does, and they just, you know, get out the checkbook and just say how much. And
yeah, but the question is, can they make that many doses?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably. I mean, the most likely not. But yeah, what I do know is, you know, I think this semester was a worthwhile experiment. But clearly, this is not sustainable. So I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and figure out some other ways to keep the students and the community engaged. I mean, the truth of the matter is that I can't in good conscience bring people together to sing right now. I think maybe, you know, if we have a target date of, say, like maybe in March, like get one semester, or, you know, get the first semester of the spring, or the first month of the spring semester underway in February. Maybe in March start doing like quartets or octets in some space when the weather starts to get a little nicer, if people feel like they're confident about doing that. And hopefully by, say, I don't know, August, maybe we do like some sort of summer concert and some summertime thing with no audience and whatever. I mean, it's really impossible to say now. I honestly, all of my guesses about how this was going to go have all been wrong at every turn. Like, I've gotten this so wrong. So I'm just like, I'm at a point now where I don't want to plan. I don't know how to plan. So thank you all for.
Alan.
Hey, Alan. Good to see you.
Yeah, another buddy. Good. Did you have any trouble finding the meeting?
He must be muted.
Well, him muted means that he can't talk, but it doesn't mean he can't listen.
Ah. Well, yeah, I'm just a little unsure. Anyway, about how this is all going to work, but the students, they were able to pull off a virtual recital of about 20 performances soloistically. We have a concert with all the ensembles rolling out sort of in chunks, but the first major chunk will be in the, I don't know, next week or two. So we've got enough in terms of the performance stuff. And then, of course, if anybody wants to go back and check out the archives of anything that we've done for our 1976 unit, people can go back and look. And I'll certainly be sending some of those videos along to some of my colleagues and see, you know, is this kind of similar to what you were doing with your students and community members and stuff? But what I'm sure what they will tell you is that the large number of people in my circle have found ways within their own academic institutions to do some sort of in-person component in some way. So I would say actually I'm one of the outliers in some respects at the collegiate level that my program can actually exist. Whereas a lot of my, I'd say most, if not all of my choral directing colleagues have done something like some sort of hybrid where people are on Zoom and maybe they'll have like a quartet or an octet spaced out in some chapel somewhere, or maybe they sing in some industrial heated parking lot that the campus has for football games, or I don't know. So the other institutions have found ways to do something in person, and it seems that Colby is incredibly risk averse, which I'm glad for, as this is on YouTube live streaming. I will say that our is to make sure that our
Big Brother is watching.
Yeah, everyone can hear my position on this loud and clear. that I support the decisions that are being made. At the same time, uh, when I get news that the a cappella groups on campus are having concerts when students are being quarantined at the same time, it just gives me a little bit of hesitation as to why I didn't have more options presented to me in terms of what we all could do to be maybe a little bit more active. But with that said, I think the students will make that very well known that they felt a little bit shorted in some respects. But the good news is that everybody, for the most part, got out safe, and that's of the utmost importance to all of us. That's the most important thing.
Well, also, I would say there was a time when I thought perhaps I can learn solfege. So, I can read and sing better.
Yeah.
And it ain't easy when you start off, particularly. In fact, any instrument, any new skill usually doesn't just come. And so our COVID coping strategies, we're learning, they're evolving, and it's expected to be bumpy, a rough ride when we begin. And
Yeah.
we hopefully get better at and come up with new things. And somebody says, well, sing Maria, and there's your interval or whatever.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So I'll be doing a lot of brainstorming between now and the beginning of February. I would like to do something in January with all of you. What that will be is yet to be determined. But at the very least, we'll start in the spring semester knowing, hopefully, that this is actually the pivot back to reality. Like it's now, we've gone through the worst of it. We've canceled one concert. Um, we've done one strictly online experience, and now we start to turn into maybe doing some sort of hybrid something or other. Now that the weather's getting nicer and vaccines are gonna hopefully get into the hands of some people up here in Waterville by May. I hope that I've been saying that if healthcare workers should get it first, then the people who are at risk, most vulnerable, should get it second, and then choral musicians should get it third. I think because we are such a dangerous contact sport.
That's right.
So we by our own design are a super spreader event. So I hope they take choral singing into consideration when they roll out.
Well, we have to do it before Christmas because caroling.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, you need to. I mean, people are going to end up getting the cold when they're outside doing caroling, and they're just going to think that they have COVID. It really puts a damper on the caroling. I will say, I asked. Funny you say it because I asked today some friends of mine if they still had their caroling gigs this year, and they said yeah, like they're getting all dressed up in the Victorian get up and they're getting on out there and they're gonna sing outside. To which I say, well, your immune system's gonna get shot and you're gonna catch something. If it's not COVID, you're probably gonna get some sort of cold. But that's just sort of the nature of the beast, I suppose.
I went and got my flu shot.
Okay, so the flu shots are available?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got mine for the first time in my life. I had a flu shot.
Okay. All right, so that's seeming like one less thing to worry about then.
That's the point, yeah.
Except it's only 30% effective.
30%?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the latest that I heard from my sister, the nurse, that the flu shot that most of us are getting is only 30% effective.
So if we take it 3 times, we're good?
I don't think so.
Doesn't work that way. Okay.
You're actually better off just getting the COVID vaccine that is, anywhere from 95 to 100%.
Yeah.
Sure, I suppose, if that's what they're saying, if what they're saying is correct.
Well, Eric, if it really goes to at-risk people, a good portion of CKCS is in that category because
No,
we're
that's
Oh yeah.
point.
65, a lot of us. So you might have a chorus at the
Yeah,
end.
maybe that's it. Maybe we can
Plead age.
feed two birds with one scone, as it were, and try to get our community chorus up and going. That would be actually a really great PR for Colby, because Colby's always looking for opportunities to get good press. So if that means that, oh well, our community chorus was one of the first ones out there to get the vaccine, and now we're all singing together again, and of course we're doing it, with space, but that's not a bad idea. Um, and there are plenty of hospitals around, I'm sure, that will administer it. Be interesting to see the line out the window, looking across the street at the hospital to see how many people are going to line up to go get COVID vaccines in the next few months. It'll be a very popular place to drop by. Hey, I got my shot. Can we sing in your driveway? Yeah, sure. All right, we're all safe now, so go for it. Um, well, it's an exciting time. It's terrifying, but it's exciting nonetheless. And I'm very appreciative of the people in the community who were willing to go along at this little adventure and try the digital learning thing, which makes me very excited. Funny couple little anecdotes. I was watching NBC News Lester Holt just now, and they were talking about Giving Tuesday, the um, the major philanthropic day here in America that has been established over the last several years or so. And so people are just giving away a lot of money to different charities, and especially this year with so many people at need because of economic hardship. And so there was this whole monologue about people giving money away on Giving Tuesday, and the last thing that was in the script was something about they're finding more generosity in their wallet, and they hopefully will spread some good cheer and give a little love in your heart. And I was like, oh, we just did that song in our last concert before we shut down. I thought that was kind of an interesting way to tie it all in. And that gave me actually a little bit of hope, like, oh my gosh, like, are we really going to come around full circle to this pretty soon? And then I looked and I was like, oh, speaking of last semester, and I did a check through my box of Duraflay scores that are still sitting in my library. I still have to give those back. And the good news, I can report that there were not that many missing. I finally did a count, and most of them came back. We had to do an order of, like, I don't know, 10 scores or something that were still floating around. But, I mean, luckily, we all got the materials back. And one of these days, we'll do the Duraflay Requiem when it's all, all able to do it, because it would be a cool thing to do. Don't know if we would do it with a full orchestra, but something I would certainly like to do, at least with organ and string quartet, or shoot, even if it was just piano in the chorus, just to say, we did it. Gosh darn it, we waited all this time, but we finally got to do it. That's a high priority of ours once we are all able to.
We've got that little portable device. You could use that for an organ.
Say again?
You've got that little portable device. You could use that for an organ.
That's true. Yep. We also have. I've been working with this thing called choralia, which is kind of like vocal parts with some sort of basic reduction.
That's what I usually use.
Pretty cool, right? How you can slow it. You can slow it down, but it still stays in the same key.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty neat. So if anything, we just throw the choralia reduction up, and we can play around with the different speeds and stuff depending on how much we remember of it. All right, I'm gonna do kind of a pivot into the last thing that I wanted to show you from the 1976 unit after going through like a multitude of genres. One thing I will actually send out is I heard something on the radio on Thanksgiving Day about a piece of music. I don't want to speak on it because I want the article or the news segment to speak for itself, about the Neville brothers uh, doing like indigenous and African music in popular music in the 1970s. And 1976 was like one of their hit singles came out for this sort of like indigenous African fusion music that they did. I thought that was pretty timely that they were talking about music of 76 and also talking about like indigenous culture on Thanksgiving. So I haven't been able to locate the story itself, but when I do, I'll be sure to send that out. But the last thing I wanted to show you was going from 1976 into 1977, the ball drop. Because I feel like so many of us are going to be staring at screens for the rest of our lives, but especially on New Year's Eve, because we just want to kick 2020 right out the window. And of course, the famous ball dropping in Times Square, no one's going to be at that this year. I mean, that's not going to be a thing. But even way back then, in even like the 20s and the 30s, I guess, is when they started that tradition of the ball dropping in Times Square. And it carried on the way through to now. And I don't remember exactly how many years it's been since they started that, but I mean, it's been a pretty timeless tradition. So I wanted to just to prepare ourselves for the 2020 ball drop. I thought we would take a quick watch of the 1976 to 77 ball drop with, I think this is the Dick Clark. Oh, no. This is the New Year's Eve in Times Square on CBS, December 31st, 1976, with Ben Grauer. And the big band led by Guy Lombardo. Both of these people actually passed away in 1977, so that's a little bit eerie. But I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to watch, and, you know, it gave me a little bit of hope as we sort of find our way into the new year. So I'm going to share.
Eric, you seem to be fading. Sound
is fading. Oh, perhaps I put my hand over the microphone here. My apologies.
All right.
All right. Let's try this. Well, that's not quite what I wanted to do. I wanted to do Google Chrome. Cool. And
1977 will soon be here. We'll ring in the new year at the Waldorf Astoria next on New Year's Eve with Guy Lombardo.
Now we go to Times Square in power to see the excitement over there. Take it away, Ben.
Take it away. Oh, I hope I can talk. I just saw the sign up there that said 15 degrees. This is the coldest New Year's Eve I've ever covered in almost 40 years. But these kids don't know anything about that. I didn't think they'd last this long. By the crowd's increased now. It stretches way up to 48th Street and down there to 43rd Street. There must be 50 to 75,000 of them. And they're here to say goodbye 76 and hello to 77. They're waiting to see that ball slide down from that tower up there at what used to be the Times Building, now called number 1 Times Square. And when that ball starts its move in 2 minutes from now, they'll know they've got less than 60 seconds to say goodbye to the old and hello to the new. They don't care about what happened to the old. Like all of us, we want to wonder what's going to be in this new year, the year in which we have a new president and a new administration, a year of expectancy and curiosity and hope, a year that will bring us some new kinds of Entebbe's or Pattyhurst different year. That's another adventure in the march of mankind. And these youngsters here are ready to greet it with another one of those inexplicable shouts of joy as the magic moments arrive. You think this crowd is making noise now? Wait till you hear what happens in exactly a minute and a half from now. It's approximately 11:58 in this year of 76. That sweep of the sun or the sweep of the meridian of time is coming our way, and it's inexorably going to hit here in about a minute and a half, and then you are going to hear this group of people from all over the world and mostly from the New York area. There's a little sign that says Sovan, Pennsylvania, population 102, Happy New Year. And over there is one from Texas says hello. And here's one from Niagara Falls. I don't know, they come from all over. I don't know why they do it, but they've done it year after year, and they're getting ready to make that shout that means when the ball starts moving. That ball I'm talking about is that golden ball, 6 feet in diameter, on a flagpole 100 feet high at the top of the Times building. It's got 180 light bulbs in it. It's going to start moving. I think it has started. Yes, it's starting to move. Listen to the crowd. Listen to that surge of expectancy.
Holy cow!
Jumping up to the top as the ball starts moving down. Slowly, its time is just so that when it hits the bottom, it'll be the new year. And that's what the moment that everyone that's gathered here is waiting for. Slowly, it's starting to move. Listen to the crowd. Listen to this surge of hope for the new year that's coming as we greet it in traditional fashion in Times Square, New York. More, come in, come in, come in.
I want one of those hats. Six, five,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Happy New Year! Wow. Watching people kiss is like a crime against humanity.
$1977.
Gotta love those on-screen special effects.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty fun to watch. Now, first of all, I don't know if you would see a big band in today's New Year's specials. So that's something that is sort of its time and reflects a little bit of the the music that we've covered all semester was very horn influenced, very woodwind influenced. A lot of big bands and the disco bands, the horn bands like Chicago and all those horn sections and all that. Remember we watched the TV intros and we listened to some of those television theme songs that incorporated a lot of that band influence. I don't know if you would necessarily see that in today's New Year's Eve specials. But then also it's just like the societal stuff too. That when the announcer was talking about oh, I can't believe that the kids are all sticking with it. How there was a very sort of youthful feel to that event, although it was people from all all ages, all races, all religions. Like everybody just celebrates that new, that new year as it's celebrated here in America in our calendar. Um, it's a pretty diverse crowd that gathered together to party. Also interesting too. Just as I mentioned, when you watch people kiss on television, um, and it's like you're looking around, and you're like, well, nobody's wearing masks. Um, Everybody's obviously not social distancing, and they weren't going through a pandemic then. So I mean, of course they weren't. I mean, we were doing this last year. Um, but when you're starting to watch some of these things through our new contemporary lens, it is a little shocking. Like, wow, we used to do that? Riding on a subway next to each other with no masks on? Really? That's what we used to do? Kissing in public with somebody who was sharing champagne and uh, kissing strangers? Like that's something that we did. Um, so
You know what we also did in 1976? We elected Jimmy Carter president.
Well, that's it.
Wow.
There was also that comment about new administration, new leadership, new hope. This new feel that there is something new coming, and I would say, regardless of how we where you are on the political spectrum, there's no. Well, I would say there's no denying that something new is coming. There are plenty of people denying it, but. But inevitably, there will be change, whether it be this January or if a bolt of lightning struck uh, the legal process and the Constitution, and it happened to be 4 years from now. At some point, something is going to change. It looks like it's going to be this year. And remember, in the beginning of the term, we talked about if things turn out like they do, going from a very tumultuous time in presidential politics and then going into an era of sort of calmness and niceness and turning to somebody who is just sort of universally understood as being a nice person. Um, there is a little bit of a parallel between then and now. And obviously, the political climates are different between both eras. Um, and also like American sentiment about how political corruption, uh, was seen. Like in the '70s, I think the idea that anybody would pull corrupt shenanigans at the top of the at the top of the nation is an abhorrent thing, and then going to somebody who was like the polar opposite of the sort of the dramatic spectrum, like Carter was and is. Looking at it now, going from a very tumultuous 4 years into even just the news cycles that are coming out, or news and the news cycles coming out about Biden right now, about his socks and his dogs and his cats and his
broken foot, poor thing,
twisted ankle. Like it's a very different feel already, just going into that new time. And I think we're all ready for something just a little bit more cool. And so what that will mean over the course of the next 4 years, like in Carter's administration, there were a lot of problems over that 4 year span. But and who's to say what kind of parallels we'll bring in Biden's administration? But the larger point of it is that if indeed history does repeat itself, it seems like history does repeat itself. Then I think my point over the course of the last 9 or 10 weeks is that musically, I think there are parallels. Politically, there are parallels. Societally, there are parallels. And the more we dug into the music, even when it comes to the last bits of 1976 into 77 with New Year's Eve television, there are still things that are striking in terms of its familiarity, like a new era of hope. And if there's any conclusion from this course, it would be that I hope that we enter 2021 with a renewed sense of hope, with a renewed sense of youth, not just in a numerical age, but just in spirit, that we are a more youthful spirit going into this next era, should we be privileged enough to be able to do so. That we are more aware and more alert of just how the world works around us, and how the music really does reflect our society in a larger scale. And not just in the top 40 dance hits. It's from a pretty wide range of music and culture. So that, in conclusion, is 1976 for CKC. Any questions about anything we covered over the last 10 weeks?
I have a question for
Yes.
Ken.
Oh,
Sure.
for Ken.
Ken, where's that beautiful live oak that you're under?
From 5th grade to the end of high school, I lived in South Carolina, in Columbia. But if you go down to the coast, or you go down to Louisiana, you see these beautiful old live oak trees.
Yeah, my wife Nancy's from Savannah. That's where we got married, and they're beautiful even in the winter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no snow, so those are year-round green. They don't shed
Yep.
their leaves. What they do when my grandparents lived in Florida, and all of the trees like that would have had Spanish moss hanging from them.
Yep,
And the Spanish moss would have been full of ticks.
I know.
Wow.
But it was beautiful to look at. And the trees,
You should see this
limbs.
picture.
Those limbs were great for, we'd hang a rope in a tire and, we'd have a swing.
They had red bugs, not ticks.
Red bull.
bugs. Oh, yes, you're right. Red bugs it was. Well, to be avoided, whichever. Yes, the red bugs. Yeah. So yeah, this was, I think, an old plantation. I have to look to see exactly what my label on that is. But
Well, I was hoping you were having the pleasure of actually being there, but
no, this is a green screen. But I grew up through the end of high school. Let's put it this way. When I started the 5th grade, no, I was halfway through the 5th grade when my family moved to South Carolina. And we lived in Columbia until the end of until the summer after my senior year of high school. So when we moved to Columbia, I remember thinking, wow, I've never lived so far north.
Oh, God.
So I grew up very much in the deep South.
Mm.
My dad was from Port Arthur, Texas, which is just a stone's throw from Louisiana.
mhm.
And my mom was from Jacksonville, Florida, which is just a stone's throw from Georgia.
Yep.
So, very, very much deep in the heart of it. And both Texas and Florida, oddly enough, Spanish originally, not English, right? So you'd see all these names and some of the lingering culture from when it was part of Spain. So that I think shaped my thinking. Then in South Carolina, of course, it was all English, but even there, we had something called Dutch Forks, which was Deutsch, the German populace there. So there was a little bit of that injected itself in. But it was all Southern culture, and it was, you think we see evidence of racism now? Well, back then you had the signs, whites only and that sort of thing. It was,
Yep.
We have made some progress. But there are things that I really appreciated about the South, and one of them was scenery like this. just beautiful areas. And we lived in Pensacola for a while with the beautiful white sand beaches. Don't know if you've been to Pensacola, but just a lovely place there. So yeah, thanks for appreciating the backdrop.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks, Eric.
It has a little meaning for me.
Yeah.
And thank you, Alan. Thanks for popping in. Things are good with you, I hope.
They're good. We're fine. It gets kind of quiet and lonely for long periods of time. We have a dog and 3 cats. So I sang 2 Sundays in church, and then they called it all off.
Yeah.
Not because you were singing.
No, not because I was singing.
No.
We had a 5-man, we had a quintet, basically. Very well spaced behind plexiglass.
Oh my goodness.
But the bishop said no more.
Yeah.
Even if the rest of Maine, I guess they still have laws that allow for indoor performing. The Lakewood Theater was still in operation this summer. Yeah. Up in Bangor, I know that they were doing some sort of Halloween musical, and so there's still stuff going. But but the church decided that was probably not a safe thing to do.
Well, the bishop is the boss, so
yeah,
he said no more gatherings.
Well, if you look at the population of churches these days, in Maine in particular, in Waterville, we have a Catholic church with a for sale sign for the church building in the diocese. And
I was curious about that, actually. I tried to find it if it was listed, but it's not.
You're going to make a bid on it?
No, I'm just.
You remember the old movie Alice's Restaurant?
Yeah, right.
There was a converted church, desanctified or whatever they called the church in Alice's Restaurant. So
my son sent me a clip of Alice's Restaurant being performed.
So the churches are working with more and more diminished resources and congregations, and you don't want to kill them off with the COVID. So if you have to temporarily shut them down, that's probably the wiser course of action.
Although if Colby wanted to buy a church, we could turn that into a rehearsal space.
There you go, Eric.
Pitch that to Colby.
Right?
Colby likes.
I guess there's probably a telephone number on the sign. I haven't bothered to pick it up, but I couldn't find an actual listing on internet.
Maybe I'll put a phone call into Maestro Green, see if he wants to make a bid for a new additional.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. That'd be great.
Would love that. Would love to have a nice reverberant space to work in. Of course, with the shuttles going on and off campus nowadays, it wouldn't be that hard probably to get to.
The shuttles go right by there.
Oh yeah, they do. It's just down there. It's on Gilman Street.
The one on Gilman and
Pleasant
Street.
Oh, oh yeah, I think yeah. I used to live like right across the street from that on Center Street, my first apartment here. Basically, it's going like if you're going toward campus, it's like that huge church right in the front. Okay, yeah.
Kitty corner from the Methodist church.
Yeah. It's a nice looking space on the outside. I've never been in.
Very pretty. I couldn't believe it was actually a Catholic church. It looks more like an Episcopal church. But
yeah, for sure. So it's for sale, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know what the inside is like, but it's a beautiful stone building.
There are pictures, and there was an article in Central Maine online a couple of weeks ago, I guess, or maybe a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't say. They talked about who's in charge of managing it. There's a priest who's in charge of the parish that church is in. It's part of. And I guess he's managing the sale.
Okay. Well, I will definitely want to explore that. I mean, I doubt they'll be interested, but it's interesting to me.
Well,
I would like to go and just look at it.
it could be a real bargain in terms of solid, true stone church and old beams and old hardwood floors and stuff.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting to know. Well, I'll definitely have to keep my eyes on it. All right. Well, I think this is probably where we will end for tonight then, and then for the semester. I'll keep you all in the know about what is coming up. Next week, I'll send out a link as soon as it's on the website for our ensembles concert and our voice area recital. We've already let our students already preview the recital, and they seem to all think that they did pretty well. So I think you'll be pretty excited to watch that. I hope.
If I may say, I am glad we did this, as evidenced by I showed up week after week. It was strange, as what has not been lately, but I think it was a good thing to do.
I think so too. I agree. I enjoyed it. It's different.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. I hope that the people who were not able to participate in this regular meeting on Tuesday would at least go back and take a look through it and listen to some of the repertoire that we looked at and sang through I think that this would be an interesting thing to kind of shop around for other institutions that might be interested in joining us as well. If indeed we have to move toward this kind of a model for next semester for the long haul. But I think, it's weird for the students because if they want to do this, they have to be in their dorm rooms. And it's uncomfortable for them because, their roommates are either studying or they're looking at them like, what are you doing? And this is all very weird. And the students, they want to be together physically. And for as many opportunities as there are for them to be together physically on campus, this doesn't work for them. Like it's not a real good fit. So I have no doubt in my mind that when it comes time to build the mega chorus back again after COVID, it can't be any more difficult than it was when I first arrived and there was no student interest in choir at all. It can't be any more difficult, and it won't be any more difficult than it was to start from the beginning, because I don't think we're there. So I'm not concerned if we have to even if we had to wait until fall of next year before we could all be in a room together, 100 plus making music, I feel like there will be more interest then than there would be before the start, because it's like novelty. It's like, well, we haven't been able to do this for a year. So, I definitely want to give this a go now because we haven't been able to do it. Collegium, they've been doing pretty well. But I think that there is definitely some motion there to try to get them together physically. So thank you all for being so flexible and so willing to participate. And if we do something like this again in the spring, I think I'll make some tweaks and some changes and some invites to make this even more interesting and bizarre than it was the first go around. So thank you all for being willing to go with it. And I definitely miss working with all of you in person. But I don't think it'll be too much longer before we're able to do that again.
From your lips.
Okay. Well, keep us informed.
Yep.
You bet. All
Bye,
right.
Eric. Thanks.
Have a great season, and we'll be in touch.
Happy holidays too.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. You too.
Happy holidays.
Bye all.
Merry Christmas.
Bye all.
Happy New Year.